So we reach the defenders. And to be honest, the defenders, as well as pretty much this entire squad, it really have three, maybe four max spots that you're fighting for on the final 23/24. So when it comes to the defenders, I mean, what hasn't been said about this back line? You have arguably one of the best left backs in the world. You have an emerging young fullback coming into her own as well. You have three solid center back options on the back line, plus an emerging young one, and veteran fullbacks coming through. Now the question becomes, who makes the cut? What's the depth chart? According to me, at least. Well, let's take this through ball and let's talk about it. Now, the backline's been something that's been usually relied upon when it comes to mugging. Well, you have players like the likes of Ashley Lawrence, Kadisha Buchanan, Vanessa Gilles, to say the least. And I think what makes this group interesting is just similar to when you look at, say, the midfielders. There's not many spots available to it. I mean, let's take a look at our center backs, for example. Right? You have a solid trio with Kadisha Buchanan, Shalina Zadorsky, and Vanessa Gilles. All those three, for me, I feel comfortable rotating between all three. Now, Bev has shown to like going with the combination of Kadisha Buchanan and Vanessa Gilles. And then we've seen Shalina Zadorsky with Jade Rose coming out. Jade has played a little bit out on the wing. Now, maybe that's just the reality. That's how she's thinking in terms of duality, for them quotes. But when you think about that, when it comes to the center backs, there's not really much more you can ask for. A back four, play a back four, a group of four of those four, there's not many who are going to hit that level. It doesn't really leave much room for other center backs to crack through. Maybe a Sorieka is able to gain great form, but right now, I mean, and that's the thing. When we look at someone like Jade Rose, people look at her and say, man, she's performed so well, but she was always CB4. She was always the next center back coming in. So her talent was never really questioned. It was just that because when we had U20 teams for a change in years, we decided to let underage players play there versus just having exceptional youths sit on the bench for the senior national team and not get any game time. Game time matters. Form is going to be very imperative. It'll be interesting to watch, especially with a player like Jade, because when is she going to be in form? I wonder, this is a very side conversation, but I wonder what Jade does, assuming, I think she does make the squad. Does she maybe leave school a little bit early just so that she can make that jump and try to use that, with her collegiate and with her, how she looks on the national team? Does she use that to propel her move? I think that wouldn't be a bad choice for her. But when it comes to center backs, I mean, Zadorsky, Gilles, Buchanan. If I was going to put them in order, I guess I'd say Buchanan, Gilles, and then Zadorsky. That's what I would normally put it as. Buchanan, I don't think has had her best form. Also, if you look at this year, center backs making back passes will be the end of me. I've lost several years of my life in stress just watching bad back passes end terribly. But I think right now, in terms of players who are looking good, Zadorsky's looked good. Will Bev then turn that into her starting? I don't know. I really don't. But what she's normally gone back to is Buchanan, Gilles as her center back duo. Now, a lot of it also comes down to on whether or not she goes to a back three. Now, if she goes to a back three, 4 center backs is probably not enough. Now, you do have the option of playing Quinn back there. They started their career as a center back and, progressed up the pitch as a solid 6 CDM, can push the ball and can progress it well. You can put a Desi there if need be. I'm not sure if that's the right choice, but you'll have that fluidity in those options if you go back 3. But if we're looking at a back 2, more than likely, I think Bev looks at it as Kadisha, Vanessa, Shalina, and then Jade. That's her grouping for her center backs. When it comes to the fullbacks. Now, this is where it's interesting. Now, I will note, I think more than likely on this squad, if there is a position that might get cut a little bit, it might be the fullbacks. We saw it already with Jade Rose playing out as a fullback or as a back three, seeing how she is in advancing it up. And I think Bev might take that into consideration. Also, you have a player like Janine Becky, who, at this point, she's just a Swiss Army knife. Where do you want to put her? Center back? Put her there. Fullback? Put her there. Winger? Put her there. 10? What hasn't she played? She played goalie too, so I'm not sure what she has left to play at this point. Coaching? Bev, give Janine one of your lovely cardigans and let her coach one day, because apparently that's all she hasn't done yet. But fullbacks are interesting, especially if you go past. Now, the same thing with the wingers. A lot of it does hinge a bit on health. Now, Jade Rivera is back in training with Manu, so we're hoping to see her make her debut sometime later in the year, probably in the spring. Hopefully that'd be ideal. Hopefully right before the France friendly that comes in. But you have Lawrence on one fullback, and then you have Riviere right now, but Riviere's not healthy. So the other one would be probably Alicia Chapman. Bev loves her vets. And in that case, if you're going to go Chapman and Lawrence, are you better off maybe putting in a player like Janine Becky back there? Not to say that Chapman can't play there anymore, but if you have the option of having a little bit more pushing up versus not, and those are the questions Bev will have to talk. I think I'll do a separate video on Bev in terms of formations. I'll do that. That being said, after Chapman, you have an interesting conversation between Gabby Carl, who also can play between center back and fullback, fluidity. Bianca St. George's, who definitely had a solid year last year in the NWSL, and is more than likely pushing to make it into the squad. And then you have other names where it gets interesting. Does she go and look at other players? Does Marie Levasseur get another look? I don't think so, just based off the numbers that are there. Does a Zoe Burns get another look as a fullback because she has been brought into a few camps? Or is Zoe Burns exclusively going to be a midfielder? Them's be the questions. But I think the conversation between Gabby and Bianca, those are going to be very interesting. And I don't think Bianca had a bad showing in her Australia matchups. But Carl might offer a little bit more in terms of variety. She might offer more in terms of just fluidity in that sense. And again, variety, fluidity, able to take multiple positions. I think that might give Carl a bit of the edge. Now, if you're looking for just straight fullbacks, I think more than likely, if Jade is healthy, you have a player like, if all are healthy, you have Lawrence, Riviere, Chapman more than likely, and then probably Gabby Carl. Because we've already seen within those, we've seen Bev play with Jade out on the wide. We can see that. We can see Becky step back in. And if there's a position that might get pushed a little, you could see, there are scenarios where you're looking and think maybe a player like Michelle Prince, you play her as a fullback and see what happens there. Is that the best position for her? No. But with only 23 roster spots, it's the flexibility and the fluidity. Can you cheat? Can you get a player who counts as 3 versus having 3 players? And that's where I think Becky's versatility is going to help out here, and probably Gabby Carl's as well. But that's going to come down to form. I think the position battle is going to be interesting. It's going to be between Carl and Bianca St. George's, because I think between those two players, Bev is going to probably choose versus a fullback versus a player who can play fullback and a little bit of center back if need be. And flexibility is going to be very key. So if I had to put my depth chart right now, center backs I think are very simple. I think Bev sees it as Kadisha, Vanessa, Shalina, and Jade. When it comes to the fullbacks, I think it's Ashley. Again, we're doing this as if today we're going Ashley, Alicia, Carl, and then questions. If Jade is healthy, put Jade up as the number 2 spot, and then you have Lawrence, Riviere, Chapman, then more than likely a Becky. Because I think if you are really relying on getting more fluidity and more players like that, you probably look at your wingers and say Becky's going to be there, but you can go a little bit heavier on your wingers with the hopes of keeping a Janine Becky as your break glass in case of emergency fullback. And that way, then you can either bring Becky off the bench or not. Fullback is the most intriguing to me because she could do interesting things, and if you're going to try to cheat because of Becky, you can cheat and may only bring maybe 3 if she wanted to. But that's my opinion, guys. You let me know. I'm going to stop rambling now. But let me know in the comments below. What should the depth chart be for your center backs and your fullbacks? I'm going to do a separate video on formations that work best, and we'll go from there. I'm going to stop rambling now, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see ya. Bye-bye for now.